All the materials provided in this interview are for informational, educational, or entertainment purposes only and are not intended to be or serve as a substitute for professional, medical, or mental health advice, examination, diagnosis, or treatment. Welcome to Healing Doorways, a place where we explore different subjects to expand our human consciousness. I am your host, Alicia Marcano, and my guest today is Jo Woodland, a QHHT practitioner. QHHT stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technic, a method of hypnosis developed by Dolores over 50 years ago. QHHT is not only a regression technique, it's a method that helps you connect with your cosmic self, your higher self, that part of you that knows it all. Sometimes it might take you to past lives in this planet or other planets, or even different dimensions. In some cases, it might take you to places of healing, and in some more extraordinary cases, as Jo mentioned on this interview, it could even take you to explore a current parallel life or even the future. Jo talks about a case of a client that had glimpses of the new earth and described it for her. I hope you enjoy this episode full of wonders. Thanks for listening. Hi, Jo. Welcome to Healing Doorways. Thanks
Hello,
for being
Alyssa.
here.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm sorry about the technical issues we have, but hopefully it will all work okay. For all the people out there that they don't know what QHHT is, can you tell us what does it stand for and where does it come from?
Well, QHHT stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technic. And it was a technique of hypnosis which was created by the late Dolores. And Dolores was quite a famous, well-known hypnotist. And she was a hypnotist for 50 years. And during that time, she authored about 20 books to do with past life regression, in between lives, healing, our ET connections, Nostradamus, all sorts of amazing stories that she'd sort of accumulated over the years of doing thousands and thousands of sessions on people. And the reason I like Dolores's method of hypnosis, and that's the only method that I do, is because not only would she explore past life regression, that was just a tiny little part of it. It was really more about connecting to the cosmic self that we are, the higher self. And we're just a tiny little fragment of that energy that we bring down here to Earth in this body. And so we're really connecting to the headquarters version of ourselves, the mothership version, so to speak, the all-knowing part of ourself. And it's amazing what you can find there, because that really is the 100% us. Whereas we're sort of, you could say, just the 5% that we bring down here to inhabit this body. Yeah, it's amazing. You never know what you're going to get, and every session with every client is very different. It could be a session we do on someone to help them with some physical healing, or it could be a curiosity session where they want to know about their soul history and what sort of past lives they may have had here on Earth, or the connection to their spirit family or their ET family.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And you talk about that sometimes the regression can take you, the QHHT can take you to another lives in another planets and dimensions. I even heard that sometimes it can take you to a parallel life that is happening at the same time as this one. You have any experience like that with any of your clients?
I have, so many different experiences, but the parallel life, That's an interesting one. That comes up occasionally, because sometimes I've got someone under hypnosis, or I like to say in hypnosis rather than under, but someone will be in hypnosis and, you know, we go back to what seems like a past life at first, but you know, the timeline seems very similar to what we are in now, with the way the cars and the technology and everything is, and that's sometimes when we realize that we're actually they're viewing more a parallel life. And so you know, we're powerful energy beings, and we do only bring a little fragment of our energy down into this human body, and so we are capable, our energy, of not just having one experience. We're capable of sort of splitting off into some fragments and having a couple of experiences. And they might just not all be here on Earth. They might be in other worlds as well.
Is there any particular case that you were like, oh my, like blew your mind, like, wow, that you remember the most, or most of them are the same?
Oh, well, it's interesting when people ask me the most profound or interesting, because pretty much nearly all of them are. And, you know, so sometimes you get people going back to, a lot of the times they'll go back to past lives, but other times, you know, I've had people go to the spirit world and sort of sit in healing chambers surrounded by beautiful coloured lights, which they can feel the vibrations of the energy coming through with that light, and they can feel it affect different parts of their body. I've had people go to other planets, sometimes on the surface of the planet where, you know, the landscape and the buildings look entirely different, or sometimes even under the surface of the planets. I've had people, some of the interesting ones I like are when I have clients, they really get away from the earth realm. It's almost as if their higher self is really wanting to take them away from the human experience for a little bit and sort of help them explore really who they truly are at their purest essence. And you sometimes have people who find themselves out in the cosmos or the universe, and I ask them how they perceive themselves, and they don't feel like they're in a body. They just feel like they're almost like wispy energy. They're just pure energy, and they sort of really feel like they're connected to the fabric of the universe, and they're like a cosmic explorer then, and we can travel throughout the universe and explore other planets and star systems. And sometimes people go to spaceships, and the spaceship ones are interesting because they find themselves in a spaceship that seems familiar to them. They'll often say this, I feel like I've been here before. And there'll be other sort of ET beings or light beings on the spaceship that start communicating with them and helping them to remember, you know, the bigger part of themselves or their soul plan.
That's amazing. Is there you have any flashes about what they're talking about, the new Earth and all that? Has anybody go to the future selves?
So look, occasionally, you know, occasionally I do have people get glimpses of the future, and it's not something that the higher self will often always show, because, you know, based on where we're at in our involvement today, or the collective involvement of humanity, things can shift slightly. But you know, occasionally people's higher selves do take them to future lives. And I had someone go to, you know, sometimes their experiences are different because they're going to different parts of the future. So I had someone go way into the future, where he describes, he was just energy, and he was floating down to the planet, and he said, this is Earth that I'm floating down to. And he said, but it looks quite different. And he said, I'm being told that it's future Earth. And anyway, long story short, he floated down to the surface of the planet and materialized himself into a body. and that's what humans were capable of at that stage. You know, they were so far in the future that they could switch between their pure energy being to just be basically like an orb of energy and float above the planet in the air, even under the surface of the water.
Wow.
Or they can materialize into more solid form as a body. So they were able to go between the two. And the population was much smaller, and the buildings were sort of ingrained into the forest. You know, people were very connected to nature. It's so many beautiful glimpses of the future. And when I asked the higher self, you know, why was it important for that person to have that glimpse of the future, the higher self will often say it could be because the person has been feeling like they don't want to be here anymore. They're quite disillusioned with the way the earth is going, and just to have a glimpse of what we're all working towards, where it's all going. I'm feeling goosebumps of energy saying that. So just to have a glimpse of the bigger picture and where the sort of earth that we will have in the future. And when he went to that future earth, you know, humans weren't eating or drinking. They were basically absorbing energy. And so they were very, very evolved. And imagine how amazing that would be to be able to be in
I think we definitely going towards that. I was actually preparing the interview for you, and I was looking at some YouTube videos of QHHT just to get some good questions, and there were a couple of ladies that came out saying it's more or less what you're saying now. That's what I asked the question. They have some clients describing what is the new earth, and they all say the same thing, that is the buildings, the houses are into they're kind of building into the trees. If you don't have to eat if you don't want to, you can fly from one place to another. It's very communal. If you want to eat, there's a community gathering together, eating some fruit. And it's amazing. That's what I asked the question, because we're saying about the same thing. So,
and that's because I feel that we're all tapping into the same sort of cosmic energy that's giving us that information. And just when you tap into that, each person describes it in their own words, so it can be a little bit different, but the bread and butter of the message is the same. And I just think far in the future how amazing it will be to not only be in solid physical form, but to have the option to sort of dematerialize into our pure energy form. So, you know, my client, he was floating down in the ocean and all sorts of things when he was in his energy form. And then when he wanted a more solid experience, he just rematerialized back into a solid human form.
That's incredible. Now it's been already more than 20 minutes, so unfortunately, but I want to ask you, what's the best way to find you? If somebody wants to do QHHT here in the city of Melbourne or anywhere else in the world, where can they go and find a practitioner like you?
Well, if somebody is, you know, in Melbourne or Victoria, Australia, then they can find me on my website, which, so my full name is Jo Woodland, but my website is soulhypnosis.com.au. So that's where you can find me. But if you are not in Melbourne, Victoria, and you're somewhere else and you really want to find a quantum healing practitioner that's been trained by the Dolores Cannon Academy, then you can go to Dolores's website, dolorescannon.com, and on there they have trained practitioners up all over the world. And so you can just find a practitioner in your area. And the best thing that I think to do is once you find a couple of practitioners in your area, and then give them a phone call or an email. It's always nice to have a quick 5 or 10 minute phone call just because it's important that you feel some sort of connection towards that person, or you resonate towards the energy, because the sessions we give clients it could be anywhere between 5 to 6 hours from your appointment from start to finish, because we're really after the quality session and to get you as deep as possible. And so you really want to feel comfortable with that practitioner. So it's nice to get a good vibe together on a quick phone call before you pick who you would like to give your session.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was incredible. I have so much other questions, so I think we have to do a part 2 sometime.
Sure, we can do a part 2.
It's so interesting.
We just covered the basics today, and then we can meet up again in the near future and go into some more detailed stuff if you'd like.
Yes, that would be awesome. There's so much questions about the parallel lives and the ETs. Like I went to you because I have when I was a child, I don't know if you remember, when I was a child, I have some ET experiences, and I wanted to remember what was the message they were telling me to say. And and that's what I went to you, but it didn't come up in the regression. So some other things came up.
It's our higher self always gives us what we need depending on what's appropriate for us at that time. But some of my clients come back once a year, and the sessions are completely different once, a year apart. And that is because we've evolved that much more. And, we might have got an entree meal the first time, and this time the higher self's going to give you the main.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think I'm way overdue for another session with you. Just have to find the time and the babysitter and get it done, because it does take, like Jo said, it takes about a good 6 hours.
I usually, it usually takes. I usually spend. Sometimes I used to spend 8 or 9 hours with people, but usually I've got it down to 5.5 to 6 hours, and that's the perfect time so the person doesn't get too tired. But the way we break the day up is we usually have a chat about your life for a good 2 hours, and before we even start. And the reason we do that is so we can form like an energetic connection together before we start your session. It's important for our higher selves to connect. And your subconscious has got to feel comfortable when it's, when you're in hypnosis, to not filter things, you want things to come through undiluted, and therefore it's important to have a good connection to your practitioner and feel comfortable with them, and to get everything off your chest before we start the session.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Jo, for being here. Sad to see you go, but it's a promise. We will have her back for another interview in the near future, and I will leave all your links below so people can contact you on the Dolores Cannon website if you are outside Victoria. And thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.
You too. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.
If you like this video, there's 3 things you can do for us. You can give us a like, you can share it with someone that might find this information helpful, and you can also hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any future episodes. Thanks for your time.